Welcome to the Norris Group Real Estate Podcast, a show committed to bringing you insights from thought leaders shaping the real estate industry. In each episode, we'll dive into conversations with industry experts and local insiders, all aimed at helping you thrive in an ever-changing real estate market, continuing the legacy that Bruce Norris created, sharing valuable knowledge, and empowering you on your real estate journey. Whether you're a seasoned pro or a newcomer, this is your go-to source for insider tips, market trends, and success strategies. Here's your host, Craig Evans.
The Norris Group is proud to present our 18th annual gala, I Survived Real Estate, at the Nixon Presidential Library on Friday, September 12th. Since 2008, our event has raised well over $1 million. This year, we'll be raising funds again for Make-A-Wish, OC, and IE. Individual tickets are available now. To get your tickets, go to isurviverealestate.com, click the link here in the card. We would like to thank the following platinum sponsors: UDirect IRA Services, the San Diego Creative Investors Association, Douglas Brook Homes, MBT Productions, Realty 411, and DBL Capital. All right, welcome everybody to the Norris Group Real Estate Podcast. We have a special show today. We're going to be doing a I Survived Real Estate preview show. And we've got a couple of great guests today. The current and the past CEOs of the Norris Group. Craig Evans is the CEO of DBL Unlimited. And Bruce Norris, a man who needs 2 pages of a bio to be read. I don't think we need a big introduction for either of these men.
You're not going to do that, Joey?
No, not today. Bruce Norris is a hard money lender, investor.
No, we don't need to.
So anyway, we want to we're bringing back I Survived Real Estate. First of all, it's September 12th. Everybody go get your individual tickets, and sponsors, thank you. And we're still looking. We still have room for some more sponsors. So please, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Joey at the Norris Group, or give me a call, 951-823-8266. But that out of the way, the first question is for both of you, and I don't care who answers it first, but how would you describe I Survived Real Estate to somebody who's new in the industry?
All right, I'll take that on first. I think it was very unusual. It was Aaron's brainchild. And Aaron came from a background of kind of understanding what was acceptable to groups of people that were in kind of the category of the guests we wanted to attract. And to do it in a nonprofit way was the ticket. And so when he approached me, he said, "Would you mind having an event where people came for free? The Norris Group absorbed all the cost. And then I think it would open the door to attract the top people of each little sector of the real estate industry." And it was true. So Doug Duncan, has come for all these years, and it started because of it being a charity event. And so we were able to attract that first year the president of the Mortgage Bankers Association, the Appraisal Institute. And remember, at that time, what was the year of the first one, like 2006 or 7?
2008. I'm going to ask you about that a little bit.
So it's even, so it was in the middle of all these problems. And so one of the things that I did when I introduced, I kind of introduced the audience to the panel. I said, okay, if anybody's a real estate investor, could you stand up? And of course, 400 people stood up. And I looked at the panel. I said, I just wanted you to know what a real investor looked like. Because the mood toward investors was so negative, it was a little hard to imagine 400 of them looking like they're going to a prom date. But there we were. And what happened over time is in that event, the panelists, who probably knew each other, started learning to trust each other more and more. And so we had really great conversations and really great batting it around instead of just, I have this stance and, that's the way it is. So it was a great brainchild, and it's been a great event, and a lot of smart people have been on the panel. So it's been a lot of fun.
So Craig, how would you describe I Survived Real Estate to maybe somebody in Florida or somebody brand new who called you up and said, "Hey, what is this charity event you guys are doing?"
This will be my 4th year being involved with I Survived. and it really had no clue what to expect 4 years ago walking into this event, other than, knowing you guys, obviously everything that had recently happened with Aaron, and the whole process of life there, and so I had no clue what to expect, and walking in and being in an environment of investors, of businessmen and women throughout the country, just an unbelievable panel of speakers that were willing to pour into investors, and to see the camaraderie between the two, what was amazing to see. And it's interesting to see. Bruce, you talked about the first year you were introducing all of these high-powered people, quote unquote, that the world recognizes as high-powered, to what everyday investors look like on the street. And me not experiencing that, I'm coming in just 4 years ago, and to see the camaraderie of all these people, of people that have come every year, and know these people, and they've developed this bond and this relationship that they get to talk about what the last year, the coming year of this industry that we're all passionate about and that we love. To see them interact, it was pretty amazing. It was a whole different level of something I'd never experienced, to see that type of interaction.
That's cool.
Between somebody on the street and somebody in Washington, and somebody in those types of positions. Pretty incredible to see.
Okay, so this question is for Bruce. Why is it called I Survived Real Estate?
Well, if you were in 2008, you were in 2008 with the real estate issues, right? So that's why. Yeah, I Survived Real Estate was not a tongue-in-cheek. It was like the worst case scenario, where in California, our prices were headed down by 50%. 70% of what was in the MLS was a lender-owned property, and there wasn't a lot of hope at that point. So I Survived Real Estate. Yeah, that wasn't tongue-in-cheek. That was, okay, we're facing it down, man. So how do we go from here, and how do we get maybe the cooperation of these people in charge? One of the things that I suggested at the time, of course, it wasn't accepted, but we had been contacted by Wall Street, and they invited me to a dinner, a 3-hour dinner, and offered me billions of dollars to buy the REOs for them. And after that, we had the I Survived event, and I suggested a nothing down loan program. Now, that's after the disaster of the price hit. Had that occurred, though, you would have changed America, because they would have bought a house for nothing down. The idea was, you have one loan program. It's not 50 state laws. It's one loan program, nothing down. And if by chance they get 6 months behind, you hold an auction. You don't go back to the lender. It gets bought by whoever is the high bid. And that's the end of that. So there were no way you could have REOs. But at the time we suggested that, the prices were 50% off, and the interest rates were great. You would have changed millions of people going from renter to homeowner with one decision. And that's one thing I did learn about Washington, D.C., and Doug Duncan has invited me back there 5 times probably, the last time being an hour-and-a-half meeting with the CEO of Fannie Mae. But it's hard to do practical things sometimes. And anyway, so did I answer your question? I think so. I Survived was, that was a time where a lot of people were upside down by 50%.
So if you were in the room, you literally survived what just happened. So, all right. So
you were trying to figure out how to survive at that moment.
Yeah, a lot of people, since we had written that report called The California Crash, I had sold everything I owned, so I'll see you all later, except my residence. And I did that intentionally, by the way. I didn't want to be a renter.
All right, so
$500,000, but I did anyway.
So I'm not going to ask if you remember the first panel, because I know you don't remember the first panel, because you just said that we had people that weren't on this. I actually have the list of everybody who was on the first panel. I wanted to go back and for the show, look at the very first 2008 I Survived Real Estate. And so this will bring you back, Bruce. So we had Rick Sharga from Realty Track.
Right.
Philip Tyrone, the Mortgage Equity Group, Anna Marie Allen from the Compliance Group, Richard Lambros from the California Building Industry Association, Joel Singer from the California Association of Realtors, Tommy Williams from the National Auctioneers Association,
Yeah.
and Christopher Thornburg, one of your favorites from Beacon Economics.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, that did change the next year.
Yes, and so over the years, Bruce, what has this event evolved to come to mean to you?
What I've seen that's been outstanding is trust has grown. That there's willingness to discuss things that are usually not discussed honestly. How do we get from here to here? And I think that over the years, the panel has learned to trust each other, and they've really come, sometimes they have some really great discussions, at a very high level. So they understand how it works behind the door. And when they come up with some stuff, it's really saying, what if we did this, or can we do this? It's just, I could tell that they relaxed with each other over the years. And it became more beneficial for the audience to hear true opinions rather than like a shtick statement. So if you go and there's a presentation they gave everywhere, that's not what happened anymore. It was really discussions about the issues. And, it was really a great privilege to be usually one of the people that were asking the questions. And I think trust grew about our intent too. We weren't trying to catch somebody. We were trying to say, okay, how do we solve this stuff? Or how do we go from here and, make housing better for investors partly, but also, homeowners too. I'm a big fan of owning a residence, obviously. And so I think that's an important piece of, for me, a man's life. I literally cried when I mowed my first lawn on a $20,000 house where I couldn't open the windows because my name was on a grant deed, and that made me a man in my eyes. I'm actually feeling it today. That's a little weird after as many houses as I touched.
Craig, this question is for you. So sort of along the same lines, but I want you to take it a little step further. So what does I Survive Real Estate mean to you, and why is it so important for you to continue to do this event?
Well, Joe, you touched on it earlier. The name of everything we do, especially with our parent company of DBL Unlimited, is Douglas Brook Legacy, and really, for me. I think it's a process of. I'm not interested in doing things if we don't really leave a legacy behind that matters. There's a lot of surface level things that I think people do in life that really, at the end of the day, just don't matter. And when I first came to I Survive Real Estate and saw the camaraderie that was made, the trust that was made between individuals and businessmen and women in trusting the process and trusting each other, that was something that I really fell in love with that. 2 years later now, Bruce and I are talking, and I buy the Norris Group, and one of the things that hit me is, okay, do I carry I Survived on, and even that first year, as we were approaching a few months from me actually, Bruce and I closing on the deal and me becoming the owner, we held the last I Survived in 2023, and it was unknown really if we were going to carry it on. And for me, it was the process of, wait a minute, if we really talk about that our company is about leaving a legacy, then we need to approach, then what is the legacy that I Survived has started? And how do we continue that, and what does that look like? So again, Joey, my my stance on children and kids in this world, and my heart for that, and my wife's heart for that. So for me, it's a process to say, wait a minute, we get to have one evening, as Bruce said, we get to dress up and look like we're going to the prom, and we get to have a great meal, have a good time, kind of the see and be seen of our industry, but yet we get to learn from some of the brightest minds in the country. We get to be surrounded with other people that can encourage us when we've had a hard year or we're coming into a hard year, things like that. But at the same time, to be able to say, hey, we are blessed in a country and an industry where we can make as much money as we want to be able to make, but to turn around and then do something with that actually matters, not that just doesn't pad our pocketbook, that doesn't line the pocketbooks of others, but do something for kids that actually matters. That's what this means to me. It is, Joe, you've heard me talk about it. I'm unashamed. I want us to raise as much money as we can, not so that we have a great evening, but so that we can do as much as we can do for kids. Yeah, I will unashamedly raise sponsorships and push for that so that we can do as much as we can do for kids. I love that process. I love getting to be around people. I love getting to talk what we do. I love getting to, we talked about pivoting last year. That was one of the big things that we've been talking about for a few years. Bruce, you and I have been talking about that for 3 years now, of prepping to pivot as things were coming. And all of a sudden it turns out, unbeknownst to me, that's part of what everybody was preaching from the stage. So talking about things that matter and helping, great. It's phenomenal. But at the end of the night, to know that we've raised more money to help children that actually need help, yeah, I'll do that over and over and over again to know that that's the end result.
So now that you've been associated with Norris Group and our event, who's been your favorite past panelist?
Don't mention me, Craig. It's okay.
So I think I would. I would. I'm probably a little bit of a nerd about finance, and that's okay. But I think in that process, I would probably say Doug Duncan in that role, and it's because he's able to walk on stage and be in one of the most respected roles of finance in the country, and carry on a predictive role as before he retired from that role, would carry on a predictive role in what he did, and yet step on stage and have a conversation, and to everybody in the audience, it feels like he's the guy that lives next door to you and you're just having a conversation. He's able to communicate in a way that brings that to real life and doesn't leave it up on charts and paper and that. I think from that aspect, it would probably be Doug Duncan.
Bruce, what about you? Who's your favorite past panelist? You got a little more history.
Yeah, that's cheating.
I would say it's the same person because he's so well respected in the industry, and he also gave investors a voice in Washington, D.C. That was very unusual. So he could use his influence to get me in front of a Fannie Mae CEO for an hour and a half. What? I mean, he thought that we brought something to the table that he wanted Fannie Mae to create a loan program for. They're maxed at 4 loans. Well, wait a minute. Like, this whole crowd is filled with really bright people that are never going to default on a loan and could use 50 of them. Could we open our eyes and see that? That's what he was doing for us. You know what? It hasn't happened yet, oddly enough. It's just the nature of the progression. But he opened doors, obviously, for us to have conversations that would have never happened. So our industry got heard by, think who was on that panel listening to investors. The top person of every piece of industry eventually was on that panel.
Yeah, and both of you guys said somebody who just he's such a data nerd with just a great personality, and for me, that's what Aaron was too.
Yeah,
like a guy who could just break down and really get in the weeds of the data, but explain it to a 4-year-old, and make them have fun doing it. And I think Doug Duncan's cut of the same cloth, or Aaron was cut of the same cloth as Doug. So next question. This one's for Bruce. Now, the other thing you didn't remember about the first one, these were all canned presentations. You were just introducing somebody else to come to the podium, and they gave you your presentation, and there was 6 of these. So when did you guys make the decision to go to a panel and make it more of a, like you're interviewing them
I think it probably was the next year.
right away?
I think it was pretty quickly because I could see that that wasn't what I wanted the audience to be exposed to.
It felt seminarish.
Yeah, well, of course, they have, they do that same speech they do for everywhere. Now, I will admit it took a little while for them to warm up to the question they wasn't expecting, right? They have a canned presentation. It's pretty safe. There's 10 minutes of what I know. See you all later. Well, now there's nothing that you said. Let me ask you a question, maybe a hard one. you know, why can't you loan more than 4 loans to an investor? Yeah. So that's changed. I think that changed the interaction for the audience too.
Did you have a favorite moment from the past?
I'm probably gonna forget who it was, but I think there was like 3 people at the very top of their world really talking about their opinion on how to solve something, and they were listening to each other, and it was pretty.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think it was David Kittle. It was Kittle, Duncan, and I think John Burns. Like
right, okay,
on the same panel.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. And they're discussing openly what maybe would improve things. To have the Norris Group get to do that, I mean, that was an amazing thing. And again, that goes back to Aaron's brainchild, thinking that was possible from the start. He's always been attracted to charity, so that was the number one thing. But it grew into just the most amazing discussion from high level people that once they got comfortable with each other and the setup, we just had the best discussion because it was all truthful. It wasn't canned, and they didn't know what was coming ever. No one ever got a question. They just, hey, here it is.
Craig, what's your favorite moment of your brief history with the Norris Group and I Survived?
Maybe making a complete fool of myself and actually being so psyched about knowing that it's Bruce is passing the torch, and I completely forgot to bring up the reason we were there, and that
make a wish,
and the fact that, and I know that's not self-deprecating, but where I'm going with that is the fact that the group of people that have followed the Norris Group for 28, 29 years, were gracious enough to not throw tomatoes at me and laugh me off the stage, but that we laughed and chuckled about it together, and everything goes on. And honestly, that was probably a moment for me where there was nothing spectacular that happened that I thought an answer was great or things like that. But what it showed me was that, okay, by investing and pouring in and wanting to continue the legacy of the Norris Group, that moment showed me that not only is this based on, I mean, Joe, what do we have in our email list? 7,800 people or something like that. Almost 8,000 people that follow the Norris Group to say, hey, this isn't just a group of people that want to earn money and want to know how to make a living. This is also, there's a real human side to this group of people that they care about who you are. And because I mean, Joe, you and I've talked about that a million times, how mortified I was and everything. And it was just like, yeah, okay, it happened. Let's keep going. So for me, I think that was a big moment to see that, at that point I already owned the Norris Group, right? But now it was even a bigger understanding of what Bruce and Aaron and you having a big part of had grown this group of people into who they are, and the respect for what we do and what the industry is about. That was a special moment for me.
Jody, can I?
At my mistake and at my embarrassment, but it was still a special moment.
Yeah, Bruce?
I wanted to add something. The reason why Craig Evans is the owner of the Norris Group, there were two instances that stood out for me.
He told you how smart I was?
We were dealing with a big mess where I had to step in front of some unpaid bills with $1 million and paid subcontractors, and I was meeting a subcontractor about every 5 minutes. You know, the common statement was, why don't you just hire Craig Evans? Over and over and over again. I'm paying, I'm losing $1 million because of errors that were made, and everybody, I don't care. It was more than a dozen times. So, do you know Craig Evans? He's a great guy. Okay. Now, that's phase one. A few years ago, we had this terrible hurricane, and Craig is busy doing stuff for our investors. And you know what? I get a phone call. He said, Bruce, I have to pull off doing this stuff. And what he did for the next week was spend countless hours in a boat saving people's lives, going to get them off of an island. So, he's out there, he's telling me, he's picking up people that are literally stranded for a few days without food and water, that type of stuff. And he just does that for days and days. That was another big moment for me. You can't kid yourself about being that person.
I want to give a big shout out to the Florida boot camp attendees, because at the same time you guys are doing all that, right after that, with the help of Craig and his church, we activated also from across the country and started sending gift cards and hey, what do you guys need? And they really came through, and I don't have the total tally of how much was actually raised, because it was just sent directly to them. We wanted nothing to do with it. We just gave everybody the opportunity to, hey, if you want to mail a gift card or send some clothes or send some food, that's where it went. And I know for a fact that a lot of our boot camp attendees really pitched in and did a great job helping out too.
I'll tell you, from what we know, we had tracked down, there was a little over $10,000 worth of money, goods, things like that were given within like 10 days, 11 days from people throughout the Norris Group. And that didn't include literally a car full of stuff that Bruce gave, because that was before we knew all this was coming. That was pretty cool.
So, okay, next question is going to be for Bruce, and then I'll have a follow-up question for Craig afterwards. Bruce, why was it important for you to start the Roney Award, and why was it fitting to end with Aaron?
Well, it's a very rare occurrence where your life changes in one night, but mine did. And that was Jim Rohn's 3-hour talk that I didn't want to go to. I did not want to go to it. And in about 5 minutes, I made a note to my brother who was with me. I said, this man doesn't need our money. I could tell there was a passion behind what he was talking about. He told a story about a Girl Scout coming to his door and trying to sell him a $2 box of cookies. And he didn't have $2, but he was embarrassed and he lied. He said, I already bought 10 of them from another girl. And when she left, he cried. He sat on the floor and cried. That was a pivotal moment for him, going, I've had enough of that. And he just won me over with his sincerity. And man, I have the original notes. I have the original book. That changed my life. I went home that night from a seminar I didn't think I would go to, and wrote goals all night and changed my life. So the Roney Award was very carefully selected for people that have changed people's lives, that did it the right way, that had an absolutely stellar reputation. That's who's there. Of course, Aaron, I don't know of a more unselfish person in my life. Though my favorite thing as a father, it changed, sometimes when you're growing up, your father introduces you, right? Hey, this is Aaron, my son. What was more fun than that by far, it was going where Aaron had been that I had not been. And every time it's like, oh, you're Aaron Norris's father? Oh my God, we love him. That was so common. I'm like, holy cow.
That was really cool. Really cool to see recently too, when we did the Aaron Norris Creative Fund Awards. Yeah. He's still touching lives, and he just loves people. And no way to. I'll tell you one last story on when he was in the hospital.
getting treatment. This was his second visit to the hospital. So he had been through a round of chemo, and then it's probably 2 or 3 weeks later, round 2 was. So he had come back. I had dropped him off at the front door, parked the car, came back in. So I was lagging him a few minutes. As I passed by the nursing station, you could tell there was like a buzz going on. And so I listened, and it was Aaron Norris is back. I'm like, these people see how many people a day and never will remember anything about them. And Aaron stood out so much that, yeah. And you were in the room where he passed. They decorated it like Christmas for him.
Yeah, that was his favorite holiday.
Yeah. I think that's a good award to retire at that point.
Well, one of the things that he had on his, the pole where they hang your meds, you're walking around, he had a disco ball on the top of it.
Yes.
So, Craig, my follow-up question is, like, have you thought about a different award that we should do?
I'll be honest, I have not. I mean, I've kicked that around, but I struggle, as Bruce talked about, is how do you follow that up? But I want us to be honoring people that have gone before us and people that have done amazing things in our industry.
Maybe we create the Grand Marshal of the I Survive Real Estate. That'll be the one featured guest, and maybe we could highlight somebody like that. That's been
a struggle for me. I've really thought a lot about what award I would want to create. I've got an idea, but I haven't confirmed that yet. There's a couple people I want to talk to about getting permission to potentially create it after someone. So yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking about that. It won't be this year, but my thoughts are hopefully we could have that for next year.
That's going to do it for part 1 of the I Survive Real Estate preview show. Be sure to tune in next week. Don't forget to visit I Survive Real Estate for tickets to the event on Friday, September 12th. The Norris Group would like to thank the following gold sponsors: Keystone CPA, the Inland Valleys Association of Realtors, Pasadena Phoebe, the North San Diego Real Estate Investors Association, LA South RIA, NorCal RIA, the Wizard of the Wobbly Box, Andy Teasley, Shepherd's Finance, the Thompson Group, Property Radar, and White House Catering. The dinner wine is provided with a generous contribution by Rick and Leanne Ross. Hope to see you all there.
For more information on hard money loans, trust deed investing, and upcoming events with the Norris Group, check out thenorrisgroup.com. For more information on passive investing through the DBL Capital Real Estate Investment Fund, please visit dblcapital.com.
The Norris Group originates and services loans in California and Florida under the California DRE license 01219911, Florida Mortgage Lender license 1577, and NMLS license 1623669. For more information on hard money lending, go to thenorrisgroup.com and click the hard money tab.